So today we're going to be working on investigating the payroll area to see if we can find any evidence of fraud. We certainly have plenty of red flags from your case. We've got a signature stamp. We have the wife of a manager that's in charge. We have no supervision. We have, in some cases, no written record of bonuses. So there's all kinds of reasons to think that there were many opportunities. And so let's start looking for the payroll schemes that you have already learned in your text reading, in your chapter readings. So here, you should already have this first file here, the 987-165, which is the list of paychecks from the initial tutorial that you watched. If you didn't, stop and go back to that and learn how to import. Here I have some old information. You may have some sample files, and if you want to clear the screen over here, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can right click and then hit delete, and you can get rid of the things in the screen here that you imported. Here I had imported with an error, and so I had some scrap there that I didn't want. So I just wanted to show you how to get rid of something if you were importing and it didn't go well and you wanted to get deleted and try it again. That's how you do that. So now I have a correctly imported file, which is the list of the paychecks. I'll double click on that. There's all the paychecks. They start here January 2011, and if you scroll down, they go through every Friday for the entire year, and then every Friday in the second year, which is 2012. So 2011, 2012 here. Lots of paychecks. And what I want to know, the first scheme I'm going to look for is employees that are getting a paycheck that don't actually work there. And the most obvious ones would be terminated employees. So I wonder if any of these are ghost employees, so paychecks to people that are not really working there. So what I'm going to do is go get the personnel records and see that the employees that are terminated, and then see if any of these paychecks went to those terminated employees. But I only have a list of paychecks here, so that's not very much information to go by. So I'm going to re-import one of the tabs in the file that was given to you is the personnel data. So let's go get that. So I go back over here to the home, and I go to the desktop plus, this blue plus sign, that's the import. Click on it, and I'm going to go to a Microsoft Excel file, so I click on that. It defaults to where it thinks your project files are. That's not where your project files are. So you click on the breadcrumbs here, and you go find where the folder is that you set up for this project. And you go get this file that was sent to you. And then you hit next. And so when we initially imported it, we only clicked on that payroll data, which was just a list of the paychecks, which is what we have here. But now we want the employee data, because that's going to have the data on who is an active employee and who has been terminated. And of course, we must remember that the first row is field names, and we have to click that. It doesn't automatically click that. So unclick the payroll data and click employee data. If you forget and click both, you'll just import that database twice, and you can just delete it. If you forget to click this and import, delete, and come back and start over and do it again. So now I should have two folders, two databases, the 987, which is the list of paychecks, 987 paychecks to be specific, and then 145 employee records. So these are the personnel records of the people that have been hired, probably since the start of the business. Who knows? Okay, so the second one is open right now, and we see here employee ID, branch ID, the employee's name, their position, whether they're active or not. So this is what we're interested in. Active means they're currently employed, and not active means they've been terminated. And you can tell because there's a termination date here next to the N. And so what we're going to do is interrogate. Double clicked on that. I thought I wanted to do something. We want to interrogate whether any of the paychecks in this first file went to inactive employees. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to link these two files. It's called join, and then we're going to run a query to investigate, to pull out or to call out the things, any paychecks associated with an inactive employee. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to click on the Analysis tab, and we're going to go over here to Join. And you can tell here when you hover your mouse over Join, it explains match two databases on the common field. That's what we're going to do on these two databases that we have, the list of paychecks and the personnel file. When we click on Join, we get this pop-up screen. It will default to whatever folder I have open, and I don't want the personnel file as my primary, so I'm going to cancel out of that and close my personnel file. So the only thing I have open is my paycheck file. Now I'm going to go back and click on Join again. Now the paycheck file, this 987, is my primary, and then I indicate the secondary file. What's the file you want to join to that one? And I click on the 145. So now I have the paychecks as my primary, the personnel data as my secondary. Now I tell it which variable they have in common, right? What do they match on? So you can click into both and see whether or not we want both to be employee ID. So this one defaulted to employee ID, this one did not. So let's go find employee ID and click on it. And of course you've got a click down screen here, and so you can click on whatever you want. And that's not what we want. We want employee ID. So we go and find it and click on it till they match. And the C means character, and so they have to, the format character or numeric has to match. So they have to either both be C or both be N. So now they match, and I can hit OK. And I want all the records in the primary file. I want all the paychecks associated with the employees in the secondary file. Okay, all right. Hit OK. So now I have a third database now. I have a joined database of the paychecks. So all the paychecks now are joined to the employees. So this is the third database. So I want to run a query now. I want to do a direct extraction. I'm going to reach in and grab records. I want all the paychecks to terminated inactive employees. So the way I'm going to do that is through a direct extraction. So on the Analysis tab, under Direct, I'm going to click on Direct, and I'm going to get this pop-up screen, and it says, what do you want to name this thing this query you're going to write? I'm going to name it Paychecks to Terminated Employees. And then you click on this little calculator and you tell it the query that you want to run. So what records do you want me to grab for you? And we want to grab inactive. So I'm going to just type A, and active is going to come up. So it's going to default to, hey, I have a variable that starts with A, and I'm going to double click on it. It should turn blue, and then equals, and then open quotes, N, end quotes. So it should turn purple if you do it correctly, if you don't add a space or have a typo. So quote, capital N, end quote. So this should have turned blue, and this should have turned purple if your syntax is correct, if your script is correct. And then you go up here to the green and you say, please check my script and see if you understand what I'm asking you to do. And if it understands, they'll come in here. And if it doesn't understand, it'll give you a message, an error message, and just delete it and do it again. So when it likes your script, then you hit OK. And now you're going to get yet a third file here, and it looks like there are 92 paychecks. Wow. That met your criteria. There were 92 paychecks to terminated employees. Wow, that's a lot of paychecks. So we're going to have to report that in our fraud report. So let's summarize and see the summary of the problem. We're going to have all this detail. We're going to export this and include it in our report. But let's summarize it. So let's go up to Analysis Summarization. And let's summarize it by first name and last name. We're just curious here. We're going to, whoops, I hit position, so just come back and fix that. First name, last name. And I'd like it to summarize regular pay, sick pay, vacation, 401k, all the dollar amounts. I don't care about their zip code or their direct deposit at this point. I'd like it to summarize, so add it all up. Not looking for the average or the maximum and the minimum. And hit OK. So, okay, so only 2 employees were involved, 2 paychecks, 57 paychecks went to Carolyn Lopez, who was apparently terminated prior to 2011, and 35 paychecks went to Maria Weber. And we can get the details. We even paid some payroll taxes for these terminated people. I wonder if they enjoyed that when they filed their tax returns. So, we want to export this into Excel so that we can begin to create our fraud report. So the way we're going to do this is to go back up to the home page, and we're going to go to export. And we want to export a Microsoft Excel, and you can pick the version that you like. And then we're going to export as Excel, and we're going to give it a name. So this is sum of paychecks to employees, and then it's going to default to the idea folder rather than the folder you set up. So you go find the folder that you set up. I have a folder, files for project, okay, but you can, hopefully you set up a project folder that you like. And when you have indicated through the breadcrumbs where you want it to export this to, you hit OK, and it will send it there. And then click on the extraction that has all the details, because you'll want to include all the paychecks in the fraud report, and then go back up here to export and do the same thing. So let's export. We're going to name this is all paychecks to terminated employees, because this is evidence that you're going to want to include, and then fix the breadcrumbs to point to the folder, and then hit OK. Oh, my file name was too long. Well, excuse me. Alright, so let's fix that. Take out some of the extra words that I don't need, and then OK. And then we can go over here to our folder and make sure that it worked. So here under files for projects I wonder why my file name didn't pick up. I must have had an error in that. So I have this file that I exported, and here it is in Excel. Some of the file sizes might be too small. You can double click and it will open to the size needed to be able to see all the contents. And we will talk about, after we've done all of our reports, we'll talk about how to pull this together into a authoritative, professional looking report. So that is your first test. So what we did here was test for ghost employees, employees getting a paycheck that weren't actually employed at the time. In your next tutorial, we'll do the next test to look for another payroll scheme.